What is going on, guys? Super exciting video today. In today's video, as y'all saw in the description, we have a head-to-head of two big old rivals here, Skar versus Sundown. Of course, we have the X12 versus the ZVX. Both look like somewhat similar subs, but this guy comes in at 330 bucks, whereas, of course, the Sundown, 520 bucks. Let's see, guys, which is better. Is it worth spending the extra on the Sundown, or does the Skar stack up pretty well? Let's get to it. Guys, so excited to be able to do this right here. When I first started YouTube, I honestly, my wildest dreams, never imagined I'd have these two subs getting here, getting to compare both of them for y'all. Never mind all these other subs over here. So just absolutely wild. But let's get right into it. Went over and grabbed a little spec sheet over here just so we can compare the specs for both of them. We're going to do that. We're going to go over the build quality on both. I'll give you a nice close-up and compare both of those. And then we're going to do a DP test and a musical RMS test just to see how both of them hold up. And then from there, I'm just going to give my personal opinion on what I think the verdict is, guys. Obviously, the big difference here is price. Now, I thought 330 bucks for this guy was a ton of money, and here we are spending 520 on this behemoth of a sub over here. Guys, for a single 12-inch sub, in my opinion, honestly, both are pretty expensive. There's a ton of subs you can get for like around 200 to 250 bucks that are absolutely awesome. But anyway, let's go ahead and compare both of these real quick. Of course, RMS power, they both rate them at the same RMS power. Now, that being said, Sundown is known for rating their stuff super conservatively, whereas Skar is not so much known for that. However, this has a big old beefy coil in there, guys. Those copper strands in there are huge. I know you probably can't tell in the video, but compared to those are pretty little strands. These got the big, wide strands. I totally believe this guy can take 1500 watts all day long. I have blared on this thing, and it's done totally fine. Speaking about the voice coil, they both have 3-inch coils. However, the Sundown's is copper-coated aluminum, and from what I could find, the Skar is just regular old copper wire, but both of them have that high-heat black glue on there, so that's pretty cool. And then this is stated that this is an American-made coil. I'm not sure if that means it's like a PE coil or what kind of American-made coil, but that is just something to note. And then I believe Sundown has American-made coils for their X series and Z series and some of the other higher-end series ones. This guy has a 306-ounce motor, which is a pretty big motor, but a ton of subs in that kind of $200 to $50 range have 300-ounce motors. Whereas this guy, I could not find the actual size of this motor, but this motor is a good deal larger than this guy. Try to get y'all an angle so y'all can just kind of see the difference. This definitely has the bigger motor. This is a big old boy right here, guys. Super wild. And then next up, we have the FS. Now, in the manual, it said one thing. On the website, it said another thing. I think it's 44 hertz, but I'm not sure. It seems like the manual said 52 or something, whereas the FS is 36 to 38 hertz, depending on the version of the X that you get. So we do have a nice lower FS over here. And, of course, as you know, guys, these Sundowns are made for crushing those lows, so that is no surprise. Frequency response is 30 to 400 hertz on the Skar. Now, I looked all over Sundown site. I looked over a bunch of the other dealer sites. Could not find the frequency response for the X12 here. And I should also mention, these are both the V2 versions. Of course, the sensitivity, we have 83.7 and 84.4. So super similar for both of these, but a little bit higher over here. I do know this guy is meant to do pretty well in a nice smaller box if needed. I believe it recommends like a 2.5 cubic foot box, but I think it does do well in smaller boxes. And then for the X-Max, this is 29 millimeters. This is 30 millimeters. Now, that being said, guys, I do believe the Sundown definitely has more than 1 millimeter of at least usable X-Max over this guy. And then, yeah, they both have 2-year warranties. Pretty comparable there. I am not sure which company is better when it comes to actually honoring their warranties, but 2-year warranties for both. So, specs-wise, decently comparable. Of course, bigger motor on the Sundown and a lower FS, but other than that, somewhat comparable. Let's get into the build quality. Over here, we're just going to start from the top. Of course, the surround on this guy is this big, almost mega roll surround, I'd say. Big, beefy surround. Whereas this has their, I don't know if they call it mega roll or high roll surround, but it's really neat. It has a thinner surround, so it gives it for some more cone area, but it comes up higher, and it looks just really, really cool, guys. Of course, a much bigger looking surround on this guy. This has a really, really stiff dust cap, whereas this dust cap was pretty on the flimsy side, at least for Skar's, you know, more so flagship sub. But they both have double stitching around the seams there, so that's nice. Both have similar gaskets. Both have very similar cast aluminum baskets. This one just has some ridges over here, whereas this does not. So it makes it look maybe slightly, you know, cooler, if you will, whereas this is a little bit more plain. But overall, guys, these are very, very similar baskets. I will say, though, this basket has cooling right in here, whereas this one is just solid in these areas. I don't know why they didn't take the time to have these little areas milled out to allow for some extra cooling, but they didn't. The spiders do feel different. Even though I've used this guy way more, it does definitely still feel stiffer, whereas this guy has loosened up pretty quickly. So not exactly sure what is going on there, but just different spider materials. I know Sundown knows what they're doing, so probably not a big deal whatsoever. And then this spider is just glued right to the basket here. They have used a ton of glue, whereas this one is glued, and then it has this ring that goes over it to hold it down, whereas this one's just glued. Something to note there. And then let's look at the terminals. This is one area where I think the Skar wins, in my opinion, and it does on two accounts. We have the terminals over here and the terminals over here. Now, what I like about these is that, one, they are spaced further apart, so there's less likely of a strand wire coming out and shorting on the other side, whereas these are kind of close. They're not too bad. I've seen some that are worse, but they're not too bad. At least we have the nice big terminals on both. But another thing is, I will say, these terminals are a little better quality. There's a lot less wobble, and the spring is a good deal stiffer on these, whereas these have some pretty good wobble, and they have a decent spring, but it's a little on the flimsy side. I would expect the spring on this guy to be a little bit stiffer. Not sure why Sundown didn't put a nicer terminal on a sub this expensive, but oh well. I doubt it'll be a huge issue. Just interesting that the Skars is nicer. And then if we look in here at the tinsel leads, we just have two of the round tinsel leads that are sewn in. Whereas over here, guys, first off, we have the flat tinsel leads, which personally I just like better. So we have two of the flat ones, but they're actually doubled up. You can see that right there. So we have 4 of the flat tinsel leads going in there, which is really, really cool, guys. I think that is awesome. You will have plenty of current being able to run through these tinsel leads and shouldn't have any issues whatsoever. And then, last of all, we already talked about cooling, but let's look at the motor. Of course, this guy does have the bigger motor. Now, I'm not sure the exact specifications on it, but it is, at least physically, bigger than the Skars. Again, this is about 306 ounces, I believe, and this guy right here is just bigger. Well, guys, overall, I like the quality on the Sundown better. Just have that bigger motor, that higher roll surround. But that only thing I like better really on the Skar is the coil. I do like those nice thick strands they got in there for the coil. And then I like the push terminals on the Skars better, just better quality overall push terminals, and they are spaced further apart. But other than that, guys, the coil and whatnot has been I've had no issues with the Sundown whatsoever, and I know tons of people have used them and they do really well, so don't think it's anything to worry about. Well, I'm going to play a few songs for y'all, and then we're going to do the DB test and the musical RMS test, just so you can see how they perform, and then I'll come back and give my thoughts. Guys, a 144.3, and there, that was 5,430 watts. 145.8. What did y'all think, guys? First of all, they both seem to sound pretty good. I will say the Sundown does seem to sound better overall, just musically every day and with those lows. That being said, personally, I am just as happy with the Skar, and just having that big old coil in the Skar gives me that peace of mind that I'm not gonna, blow it unless I clip it really bad or something like that. But yeah, guys, super stoked. As you saw there, they both made it through the musical armist test. Absolutely no problem, guys. No surprise there whatsoever. And then, of course, with the DB test, they both were very similar. But the Skar, I think, came in at like 144.3 or something like that, whereas the Sundown came in at 145.8. So the Sundown did win. Now, of course, there could be multiple factors playing into that, but overall, very close, with the Sundown taking the slight lead. Well, guys, overall, I do like the Sundown better. Overall, just looks more impressive, sounded better, and is just a great overall sub. However, in my personal opinion, I don't know, it's so hard to say, guys. I love this sub so much. If money were no object, I would totally take the Sundown over the Skar, but since money is always an object for me, I think I'd have to take the Skar at the $330. It's still a great value. Handles a ton of power, no problem. I had it in here for quite some time this summer and fall, and absolutely loved it. It was great for a single sub setup. It just got so loud and just was awesome. So anyway, yeah, that is my verdict, guys. Again, a ton of y'all love Sundown, and if you really just love Sundown and you want the absolute best excursion and best music possible, and you have the 50-something bucks after shipping and tax, guys, go for it. You're definitely going to love it. It's definitely going to put a smile on your face. I can't see anybody really regretting getting this sub once you pull out that box and you just see how big and beefy and beautiful it is, guys. Well, guys, let me know what y'all think. Which sub did you like better? And if you like the Sundown better, is it worth the extra $190 to you? $190, guys, that is a bunch of wire. That's, I don't know, that's, some nice mids and tweeters. That's a ton of stuff that you could do with that money. So to put that in a sub like this that's got similar power ratings and whatnot to the Skar, and the Skar is still a well-made sub, they really shouldn't have any major issues. Again, let me know what y'all think, guys. Would you spend the extra money to get the Sundown, or would you save the money and get the Skar? Let me know, guys. All right, y'all have a wonderful rest of y'all's day. Stay tuned for more videos, more sub review videos, and then, of course, everybody's super excited for me testing out the 6 cheapest Walmart subs in this big old box down here, guys. So stay tuned for that. That video should be wild. Anyway, guys, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep basing on.